Hello everybody, welcome to another Toolbox Tuesday update for Dave's shop, I guess. This Today I have a few actually subtractions from the big blocks I'm going to go over. I'm working on my road box for my truck, the tools I keep in my truck all the time, so I've been doing some additions to that. So I'm going to quickly take you through that today too, as well as I have a big purchase for the shop today, something I've been wanting to get for a few years, so I'll show you guys that too. So first thing that's happened today is I eliminated my extra set of vice grips that I had. If you remember from my other videos, I had two blue handled ones. So I've just thrown those in my road box. I have a full set and I really didn't have any needle nose pliers in my truck. So threw those in there. Also, sorry, I got these flush cut ones. These were just cheap in town here, but these will be good for zip ties. I'm sick of getting my hands sliced open on zip ties all the time. So I got those. That was what came in like last week. I forgot to mention them. In my ratchet and extension drawer, I took some of my extensions out because I didn't really have many extensions in my truck. I only had some of these small 3/8 ones, so because I have extras. And when I was doing that, I realized something that I kind of feel silly for before, not noticing. Those Mastercraft extensions I got a few weeks ago, these are similar to those like Snap-on or Mac ones where it's the wobble and the regular extension on one. You just push a little bit further on if you want solid instead of a wobble. So I threw a few of these ones in the truck, so then I've got both. And then kept some of my older ones in here so that I still have the regular ones and wobbles. I don't mind swapping them, if I have to change them out, not a big deal. So still have lots in here. And if I need any other longer ones, like I still got two really long ones in here, and I can always rob from the truck if I'm working on something. So something else that changed is socket drawer is a little bit different. I'm kind of playing around with the idea of reconfiguring this a little bit because I've taken it apart so many times that and moved stuff around that it's kind of losing there's some of the reinforcements not where I'd like it to be. But the big thing that I changed in here, starting out with, is I got a new set of Torx. The ones I had were kind of worn out and rusty, and I didn't have some of the bigger sizes. So I found a good price on a set in town here today. So I picked those up and I put the ones that I had, because they'll still work. I put those in my road box for my truck. And then I also took the deep 3/8 set from there and there, the standard metric. Those are just those extra ones I had that I didn't have all the sizes. That's why I bought these Mastercraft ones. So I don't need two sets of deep, half or 3/8 drive. I already actually have two because I've got 12 point and 6 point, but I don't need two sets of 6 point. So my road box didn't have any deep, so I put those in there. So I'm kind of, better equipped. Really, the only other addition is I've got some little cheap set of Easy Outs that I'm not really impressed that they didn't come in a package. I ordered those off of Amazon. They didn't come in a little hard package. They just came loose in a bag. So not really happy about that, but it kind of gets me started. I need to use one right away here. I'm still looking to get some of those better Irwin ones. I think Irwin's probably one of the better names when it comes to those bolt and nut extractors. So that was the big change, I guess, in the big toolbox. A little bit of a teaser, brief teaser. I'll give you an idea what the new purchase is. So it's an older auto dimming helmet that came with my new to me welder. So I picked this up just this past weekend off of a local buy and sell. And Hobart Handler 140. It runs off of 110. So regular household outlet. I don't have to worry about getting 220. But this is set up to work with or without gas. So right now it's set up as gasless. It's got flux core wire in it right now. But I've purchased a regulator. Usually it will come with a regulator. For some reason, the guy didn't have the regulator with it. But so I have a regulator I purchased. I have a hose coming, and I've also ordered a cart, welding cart. But the best news about this is this welder with the regulator on Princess Auto in Canada here. The website right now is listed for $849. I paid $350, and that includes the helmet. And the gentleman I bought this from says he's used it maybe 3 times, because I guess he had one, he lent it to his neighbors, their shop got broken into, his welder got stolen, he bought this to replace it and only used it a few times. And So I made out like a bandit. And this thing will weld aluminum, it'll weld stainless, it'll weld steel, and they will weld up to a 1/4 inch thick. So for me in my shop here, I'm not doing any like crazy manufacturing of trailers with heavy plating like that. So this will do anything I need to weld, this will weld it. So awesome. This was, and being that it's a Hobart, from what I understand from my research, this is one of the better names in welders. So this is going to be awesome. And should I have any problems or ever need parts, I should be able to get parts for it. So I'm very, very excited for that. Probably this week, even before I get my gas, I'm going to do a little practicing. My first project that I'm going to weld is going to be the end caps for my Jeep, where I'd cut my end of my Jeep bumper off here. I'm going to be getting some 3/16 steel, I believe, from the local welding shop. And so I'm going to do a little practicing. I got some scrap sticking underneath the stairs, and I haven't done a lot of MIG welding in the last few years, so I'm kind of out of practice. And I never had done a lot before, so practice on some scrap and go from there. But this is something I've been wanting for years. I was always sick of borrowing one. And I like being able to just have my own. And there's been lots of things where I've made them out of other things where if I just had a welder, I could have just welded it up quick. So I'm stoked. Just got a bit of a mess in the garage here. So one of the things I'm doing today, like I said, I'm putting together my road box. I'm going to be putting these latches on them, on my box, because my toolbox, it's just an old 3-drawer here, but we don't have the key for the drawers anymore, because back in 2002 we had a house fire and the keys for this were in the house. So, but also this is the top that I had, or similar to the top. This one was my brother's, and me and him had the same toolbox. Mine is the exact same. It's in my garden shed, but it's got like badges and stuff on it. But this is my old top for my old setup, basically. So I went from that as a top to that as a top. So I went from 3 drawers to 6 drawers. But this has been sitting in my garden shed. This was red and it got painted black, and then I painted it red again. This had been sitting out in my garden shed. I used to use this as a parts bin, but I've since kind of changed that. So it's been sitting out there, not being used. So my box that I had in the truck, I was using as a road box, was overflowing. I could never get the lid to stay closed. So I figured I'd use this. So I'm going to put those latches on it just to keep that lid from opening. When the lid is closed, these drawers don't open, but just to kind of keep the lid secure, because I got tools up here too. So give you a quick tour of this. So those are my 3/8 deeps that I took out. Those are those Torx that I took out. They'll be perfect for on the road box. This is just a spark plug one. This actually works for the spark plugs for my boat. And then this is a deep 13 mil, 10 1/4 inch, and then 10 millimeter 1/4 inch. On my truck, because my truck's a GMC, you use those fasteners quite a bit. And sometimes for taking apart doors and stuff, you need the 1/4 inch one, or the deep one, sorry, for 1/4 inch. So I just got a couple individual of those a few years ago. Just a cheap ratchet had years ago, a Christmas present. Bought this cheap $5 1/4 inch drive one today, because I like the handle better than this one. These are my extensions I threw in there. So I got a few 1/4 inch drive ones, and I threw 3/8 ones. I don't keep 1/2 inch drive sockets in this kit. I don't really need them, so that'll be good enough. And then here's some, these are standard, those are standard, and these are my metric. This was a really mix match set. So these are the sockets that I used with my newer sets, replaced these ones. So there's a mix of 12 point and 6 point, but this set also has a 1/4 inch drive and 3/8 in it as well. So between this and these ones, that's more than enough for my shallows. The extra adapter here, and I also keep some Allen wrenches. These are standard, so I picked up just some cheap $5 metric ones today. You can always keep a thing of tying wire in here. It's always handy. I've got, these are Torx as well. I've got some zip ties, bulbs for the back of my truck. Just a couple X-Acto knives or box cutters, whatever you want to call them. Cheap pick set. I've got another set like this in my big toolbox. I'm going to throw my other set like this in the Jeep when I'm doing the Jeep toolbox. I'll show you everybody that toolbox tour when I get the Jeep running again. I hope it's done soon. I miss driving that thing. I always keep a few hose clamps around. Those are really handy for on-site road repairs if you have to, muffler hanging down or something, because you can link them together. And I always have a roll of Teflon tape for my boat. So that's basically what this is for, like fixing my truck on the side of the road, fixing fenced vehicles on the side of the road. I've had to fix my boat at the lake, so that's what these tools are for. You know, I bought better quality ones for my home shop, and these are good for my on-the-road use. So this drawer, here's those pliers I threw in here. These are just older pliers, cheaper vice grips and whatnot that I had over the years that I've got better ones, so I've thrown the older ones in here. They still work. I keep a file here for sharpening my axe. I have a little hatchet in the truck for camping and stuff if I need to cut some wood or whatever. So, and then a little hacksaw. I've actually used that to hack off a broken exhaust pipe once. The tailpipe had folded over because a guy had hit a rock, so I used the little piddly hacksaw, but I managed to cut his tailpipe off. So, you know, in a pinch it works. This is just Mix Max screwdrivers. That's like a performance tool brand I got. It was like my first ever screwdriver set I got when I was like 10, 13 maybe. So I've bought better ones over the years, so they still work. There's a mix of Robertson, because I'm from Canada, so got Robertson. There's some Phillips in there, flathead, Torx, some stubbies. I got a test light and just a cheap wire terminal pliers like crimpers and strippers, and then a bunch of wire things in case I have to fix the wiring on my boat. This is a ratcheting screwdriver and it's got some bits in the end. So, and I got some small precision ones in there too that can be used good as little picks and stuff. So pretty good for screwdrivers. And you know, this one is my wrenches. These are the wrenches that I used to have in my big toolbox. Some of them I'd lost over the years, so then I'd replace them with just like cheap ones. So they're a bunch of mixed match sets. I got standard and metric in there. So, and then I got my hammer in there. So like, I got enough wrenches. Like I said, they're not the best because I've upgraded, but for on the side of the road or whatever, I pretty much got every size I'm possibly going to need in there. So that's the road box. So yeah, I'm just going to put a couple of latches on there just to kind of keep that lid down. My other ones are still in the garden shed, my versions of them, my top and what was the bottom for that set that I'd used as a middle. I hung on to them because they have lots of cool stickers on them, and I'm kind of sentimental that way. But down the road, if I get more tools, I can always bring them back in, and I could move my snap-on bottom down the line there, and I could make another stacking in if I had to. So that snap-on one is now full with the my clamps, and I got my other wood clamps in there, and my tap and die on the bottom, and I actually have some sanding stuff down the bottom too. I forgot in my first video I got like a flat board and some hook and groove things for orbital sanders from when I did auto body. So, but that is, I guess, the really only change for today. So it's latch day, and then you can still see I got parts everywhere. I have this Hippo bed liner. That's going to be a project coming up the next few weeks when I have a Sunday where I'm second car, putting that in my friend's truck. I'm going to help her with that. So, and then there's right on top there, that's the new regulator for the tank for the gas when I get it. So I'm just getting one of those small CO2 argon mix ones. I think it'll be good for pretty much whatever I'm using it. And I don't really need a tall bottle because I'm not going to do a ton of welding, but it's sure going to make for some cleaner welds. So anyway, that's it for that video. When my new wrench comes in, I'm ordering that 21 mil box end wrench. I'll be doing a video. I'll show that. Something I wanted to touch on too, quick, while I think of it. I was watching Justin Dow do his I don't know if you want to call it a rant or whatever, but about tools that you need and tools that you don't need. And he was mentioning that nowadays you don't need, you know, standard wrenches. You know, why do guys have so many standard wrenches? And for myself, the reason that I do is I used to work on older cars that still use standard fasteners. But also with me having a boat, a lot of the boat stuff is standard. And also the Jeep here, because of the aftermarket, like it's got an aftermarket bumper on the front, aftermarket bumper on the rear, aftermarket suspension lift. Because it's made in the States, a lot of their fasteners, they're still using standard. They don't use metric. So I need, for certain things, I need still to have standard sockets and standard wrenches. And that's why I have, for my sockets as well, I've got 12 point, 6 point in both my standard and metric deep and shallow, because also with this Jeep, from it rubbing on rocks all the time, some of the bolts can get a little bit rounded. I wish I had one here to show you handy, but I know, for instance, like this is a cross member, or sorry, skid plate for the transfer case. And a couple of the bolts have been a little gnashed. I've actually had to file them on the trail to make them so I could get a 6-point socket on them. So that's why I have 12-point. For some people, like for most things, I only use metric, but there is still the occasion where I need a 12. Or sorry, still the occasion where I need a standard. So anyway, that's the end for my video. Thank you again for watching. Thank you to my subscribers, whoever you are. Still kind of new to making these videos. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a tour on the back of the Jeep here. Well, I'll do a full tour on the Jeep when it's done, but I really want to show the toolbox that I made for the back. And what I carry for extra parts and gear when I go. This Jeep has been to Moab, Utah twice. So I do actually use it when it's, got wheels underneath it. But anyway, thank you again, everybody, and have a good afternoon.